Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hugnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
Welcome to another episode of the ThunderCast, and no, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am not KD Hugnall, and I'm over on the other side of the screen, and this is my partner for this episode. Everyone's familiar with him, but this is Jed Horton, CEO of IgniteLink, CEO of Layer 1 Solutions, longtime collaborator with the ThunderCast, and man, he makes our tailgate show, ThunderCast Live, powered by IgniteLink. He makes it go. He's been a co-host here before, but Jed, you're going to see him a lot more often. So, Jed, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Russ, for having me. As I always say, anytime I'm on here with KD not here and I'm here, it's always big shoes to fill. So, KD, I hope I do you proud, man. So,
I'm sure you're going to nail it, man. As always, we joked around on the previous episode, me and KD, and said Jed's always saying this is not what I do, yet you knock it out of the park. So you do a great job. We are going to do this show is nothing but 5 things and around the herd. But first, I got to tell everybody to follow us on Twitter, where KD runs our account and does an amazing job interacting with everybody, bringing you daily news and things that you might need to see or be aware of. You can give us a follow on Facebook, and definitely go to our YouTube channel and give us a subscription over there. If you are listening and never watching, you can find us on Spotify, any kind of streaming service that you listen to songs or podcasts. You can find us over there. Please give us a subscription there. And again, go to ThunderCast.Online, where you will see lots of articles and something that we're going to talk about here in a little while, our transfer portal tracker. Jed, there is a lot to talk about. KD and I talked about quite a bit just yesterday, and you would think that we don't have much to talk about here, but you're going to see we've got a lot to talk about.
well, I will say during the most episodes, I've noticed that we bring the 5 things, right? Sponsored by a particular business, but it's never 5 things. So I always like to hear KD's surprise. How many is it this week, Russ?
Yeah, it's a running gag because we have so much to talk about. But before we get into all that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Leasure Oliver PLLC. If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com. Jed, you sponsor these 5 things, and as you alluded to, it's never just 5 things. It's more often a lot more than that, but why don't we go with this week, say 11 things every herd fan needs to know this week? As always, brought to you by IgniteLink, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Obina Anachili Killen is the new all-time leader in blocks for men's basketball. He now has 198 in his career, breaking Jansen Williams' 196 set a couple of years ago.
And that's great to hear. That's a kid. I say kid. I mean, he's
sure
2 feet taller than me, but that's a kid. You just. I don't know, something about him, man. You root for him. Kid going to school, localish kid. School in West Virginia, and it's especially in the world of the way sports are with basketball and football and all the sports. You got these rotating doors. To see a guy who sticks it out for all these years and can actually put forth the time it takes to break those records. And again, that's not take anything away from him, obviously, but it's great to see that. I'm really excited for him and glad he was able to do that. I mean, and you've got a heck of a lot of season left to rack up a lot more.
Yeah, this record was there. I can't remember who had it before Hassan Whiteside, but it was there for another 4-year player or whatever. And then Whiteside broke the record in his one season that he was here, and then Jansen Williams passed that up several seasons later, and now you've got Obina, who, like you said, is probably going to add to it. And you're looking at 50 a year for staying here for 4 years. And with the way transfer portals and things work, will some of these records actually be broken, or will they not? Because you're not going to have someone around for the 4 years that people used to rack up these records. So remains to be seen, but I'm glad that a local guy that stayed 4 years and puts in the work year in, year out has broken a record. Number 2, Logan Osborne receives the Sun Belt Conference Football Elite Award, which is given to the player that exemplifies the true essence of a student athlete.
Couldn't happen to a better guy, I'll tell you. Again, in kind of keeping with the theme of local, right?
Sure.
It's great to see a guy like Logan who's been here, put forth that effort, and just a killer, man. That's great. That's I think it's very well deserved for Logan. So yeah, kudos to you, man. Well
local
deserved.
Guy. Everyone on the team, everyone around the league talks about him, how he composes himself. Coach Daggy, I don't know if you saw this, put up that he was the soul or the reason or the heart of the team. All the accolades that you see him getting and the awards that he's been up for and on watch lists and everything, he really gets it here. And he just exemplifies our team. So I'm glad that he is getting the recognition from the Sun Belt as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
These next 3, I'm going to combine 3, 4, and 5 here because they're all similar. So I'm going to read off each of them, 3, then 4, then 5. Number 3, Addison Painter breaks the men's long jump record set back in 1996 with a jump of 7.29 meters. Number 4, Peter Oliveira breaks the men's 60-meter hurdles record in a time of 8.17 seconds. And then number 5, AJ Young breaks the men's 300-meter record with a time of 35.08 seconds. Jed, these all happened on Friday at the same meet, the Marshall Opener. Reaction to 3 men's track and field records being broken on the same day.
I would say I'd be extremely shocked, but the fact that it seems that, track and field, since it's been brought back, has been just tearing it up.
Yeah.
Record breaking after record breaking, breaking records of your own records and things like that. I'm very surprised, obviously, but this just continues that trend that we've seen with track and field. Especially now on the men's side of the house. We saw a lot of that more on the women's side of the house, in the last year. But seeing that on the men's side, that's great to see. It's a program that's, obviously you've got some really good contenders, really good athletes. And if you're breaking records now at the beginning of the season, you're just going to keep trending.
Very first meet of the season. Yep. And we're going to talk about that in Around the Herd, but I do want to talk about, the investment that we've had in this track and field, this team. You brought in more of an overall director in Keith Roberts instead of just being, hey, here's the track and field coach. Caleb Bowen is the coach that is on distance running, on the cross country side. And then you've got people focusing on the field, people focusing on the sprinting and the different things. And then he's overseeing all of it. And it just seems like just about with everything else, the coinciding move to the Sun Belt, everything is going up. 3 records broken on the same day. That's crazy. And again, we're going to talk about that more in Around the Herd. But for now, let's keep talking about some broken records because number 6, Madeline Hart breaks the 200-meter butterfly record with a time of 2 minutes, 0.25 seconds.
I don't know if I could run 200 meters in 2 minutes, let alone.
No, this is swimming, buddy. Swimming.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Swimming.
Oh, gotcha.
Swimming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd have a hard time just to running that,
just
let alone
running beside the pool. Yeah.
Yeah, I one of the things that my greatest talent when it comes to water is just sinking to the bottom. So
I can float with the best of them, man. I'm telling you.
I can't. I'm a rock, man. That's again, here we are, in these Olympic sports, watching, these athletes that we're bringing into Marshall, not just competing but breaking records. So that's awesome. That's great.
How many times in the last few weeks have we talking about broken records? And it's been by Lunya Shinya, had broken 2 in back-to-back days, or 3 this year, something like that. And more records are falling. Same with Keith Roberts. Ian Walsh has this team competing at a high level. And to remind everybody, they're competing against themselves to get better on their times, because it's not just, oh, did you place first or fifth or whatever, but you're competing against yourself in your time, in your distance, in whatever, in these swimming and running events, and breaking these records way before you get down to the Sun Belt Conference Championships. It's a great time to be breaking them and continuing to get better as the year goes on.
Right. It's great to be trend. Yeah, you want to be in whatever sport you're doing. You want to be trending at that right time, for sure.
Yeah. Number 7 here, men's soccer lands 5 on the All Southeast Region teams as voted by the United Soccer Coaches. We got Taimu Okiyoshi and Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos on the first team, Hai Pinto, Alex Sterngard, and Takahiro Fujita in the second team. Thoughts on those? I know you're a big soccer guy.
Yeah, no, it's well deserved, and I think you could take even a few more players and throw them on that list too. It's hard to, who do you pick? And we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, in Around the Herd. But talk about a team that's trending in the right direction at the right time.
Really.
And well deserved, recognition for these guys. I mean, these guys have really put in the work this year. Working through adversity, especially the Sun Belt Conference, and not ending quite how we would want, and these guys rising up during the tournament to be super impactful in every of those tournament games. So well deserved.
Yeah, and I've got another one here that ties into this, but I think it's even more prestigious and well deserved. Number 8, men's soccer also has two of the 15 semifinalists for the Mac Herman Trophy. And to remind everybody what that is, it's basically the Heisman Trophy. Everyone's pretty familiar with that, of soccer. And that, again, is Taimu Okiyoshi and Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. The 3 finalists will be named on December the 18th, so they will whittle down from 15 to 3 here in right around a week. And then the winner is going to be named on January the 3rd, 2025. But we have talked the last couple of years of how big it is to have one semifinalist and now 2 of the top 15 up for this award. Tell me about that.
Well, I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but I think Marshall's now a soccer school.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone's got the memo on that one. But what can you say except that, if you compare it to football, for example, you think of your blue blood schools and schools that are typically having Heisman finalists and things like that. I mean, this shouldn't be an uncommon occurrence, moving forward, as Coach Grassi has, already won 1 national championship. We're in that conversation every single year. So having 1, now 2 people in it, is incredible. It should start being not so surprising, because we've got a team that competes year in, year out, and we're becoming I'm not going to call soccer blue blood just yet, but we're well on our way to.
Man, it is on its way.
Being there, it is on its way. So and for those 2 guys, for either one of them to win it, especially depending on how these next 2 soccer games go, it'd be well deserved. I mean, and you'd have a hard argument for anybody else, really, if we can kind of win this thing out and go for our second national championship.
Yeah, and obviously we're going to talk about that in Around the Herd, but year in, year out, when you have someone up for the Mac Herman Trophy Award, I mean, could you imagine? We just said it's basically the Heisman of men's and women's soccer. Could you imagine Marshall football having 3 years in a row or 4 out of 5 or whatever finalists or semifinalists or anything for the for the Heisman Trophy Award? We would be considered a blue blood.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Now you're talking about doing that in soccer here, and recently won a national championship, perennial top 10 in the nation. It just keeps getting better and better for men's soccer. And hey, we got something big coming up Friday and Monday, hopefully. All right, number 9, let's talk about football again. Mike Green named a Reese's Senior Bowl All-American. He was on their watch list earlier in the preseason, and now he was named to their All-American squad that they put out. Just a reminder, redshirt sophomore Mike Green for the Reese's Senior Bowl. Tell me about Mike Green and what this award means.
I don't think I could do Mike Green justice there, Russ. I tell you, his results speak for themselves. Being the Sun Belt Player of the Year, the effort that he's put forth in transitioning from being an extremely talented guy, a raw talent kind of guy, to being somebody who every team we played had to game plan around Mike Green.
Yeah.
It was, double team, triple team, or just pick the guy up and hold him on the ground and try to keep throwing him on the ground because, because you can't block the guy. So, that speaks very, very highly of his skill and what he's been able to accomplish in his short time here at Marshall, in his short time playing college football. So well deserved. Again, like we've talked about with these other people, these other athletes and the 5 things, it's well deserved. Any accolade that Mike Green gets, this one and moving forward is well deserved, and he's earned it. So very congratulations to him, and well deserved.
Yeah, and real quick, because KD and I already mentioned it in yesterday's show, but Mike Green is now the Sun Belt all-time single-season sack leader. He holds that record, and he is tied with Cecil Fletcher for the Herd's all-time single-season sack total with 17. Just the accolades, where he ranked nationally and all that, and again, the Senior Bowl is having him in as a redshirt sophomore. It's just crazy.
Well, and it's good to see that these the Senior Bowl and the Sun Belt Conference and these guys, and they're seeing, they're recognizing Mike Green for what he's done and appropriately rewarding him for that effort. So that's good to see.
He's going to be rewarded here, in a few months too with getting drafted. You can just tell it's going to happen. Number 10, new head coach Tony Gibson's introductory press conference is open to the public and will be held at the Brad Smith Center for Business and Innovation on Thursday at 4:30 p.m.
Yeah, I'd like to see that place packed out.
I have a feeling that it is going to be packed, and you will probably need to get there early if you want a seat.
So and if you can make it and you can attend, I definitely would encourage you to do so. I'm trying to figure out my schedule so I can try to attend if I can. I do have a little bit of a conflict, but I think it's we're moving into a new era of Marshall football. Hopefully a continuation and a continued building on what we were able to accomplish this season. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this is going to go, and I think a lot of Herd fans are excited to see where this is going to go. And if you can make it, I'd encourage you to try to make it.
I plan to be there. I plan to try to wrap up my work day just before that and head to there. And again, I feel like if you're not there early, you either might not have a seat or you might not be able to go in because of the fire marshal's capacity. So it is going to be in the Oncova Auditorium, so it's plenty of seating. But I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of people looking to go to this. And finally, this is going to be what we talk about at the end of all of our 5 plus whatever things, I think, for the next several weeks. But we're going to talk transfer portal. If you remember last week on 5 things, we talked about the transfer portal, and we had Isaiah Gibson going either, I think, earlier that day or it was the day before. But since then, we've had quite a few people go in. I'm going to read these off real quick. And by the time that we started recording, there might be somebody else in there, but here's what it was before we hit record. Stone Earl, AJ Turner, Landon Watson, Chuck Montgomery, Jacoby Henderson, Thomas McCoy, Cade Conley, Braylon Braxton, DJ Stepney, A.G. McGee, Jaden Yates, Lucas Copenhaver, Cole Pennington, Josh Moten, Amir Foster, Drew Pettit, Elijah Metcalf, Ishmael Ibrahim, Braylon Brown, Tredden Henry, Matthew Bossett, Chris Thomas Jr., Tashawn Jeter, J.J. Hawkins, Jabari Ishmael, Daytwan Smith, and Ian Foster. Today is the 3rd day of the portal being open.
You don't have enough time on this podcast, I don't think, for me to go through every single one of my thoughts, but it's the nature, it's you hate to see them go. If they go, they have the option to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm no insider, so I have no idea, if some of these guys are just testing the waters or if they have a destination already in mind, or, and I've seen some of these guys on, see the thread, on Twitter and things like that or on X. Some of these guys are getting some Power 4 offers,
huge offers,
and things like that. So, it's the nature of college football today. It's something that I don't necessarily enjoy. But also we wouldn't have had the success that we've had, especially this year.
Yep.
You're talking about MVP of the Sun Belt Championship game who was a portal transfer QB, who led us to and starts with 7-0, 8-0 in the game he started. So a lot of these guys came through the portal. So,
sure did.
So it's helped us. Does it hurt when they go? Yes, sometimes it does, but that also means that it makes room for other players to come in. And so what we can do is wish them best of luck and wish them the best, and appreciate their time that they put in here. So again, I hate it, but it is the nature of college football at the moment.
I've said a lot of this on Twitter, but I'm going to say it. So hopefully there are some people, mainly on Facebook, but more on Twitter as well, that will hear this or watch this and maybe calm down a little bit or not ask the same questions over and over. First, no, the entire team did not enter the transfer portal just because Herd fan Jared Smalley said basically the entire team, and then a website ran with it, thinking that was some kind of breaking news just because Jared is an NBC anchor up in Columbus. Jared thinks that that's funny because he's in the news business, and basically these people did no journalistic research whatsoever. They just ran with a Twitter post where he was exaggerating. So no, the entire team did not. Also, this is not the most transfers amongst teams in college football. So to see a headline like that, and there are teams out there that have more transfers than us, that's also laughable. But I see people posing questions like, well, are they all following Coach Huff? I'd say a lot of these players will because they were recruited by him. But again, you see like these big time schools that have perennial playoff potential that are offering some of these players. and they want to compete at the highest level. They have shown it here. Their coach is gone. They just won the championship. It's a natural severance for some of these to say, well, now I won't feel bad. If they didn't win and the coach was still here, they might have felt obligated to say, I've got unfinished business. You know, if they've got 3 years to play, they might say, well, I've got unfinished business. If they got 1 year to play, they might say, I'm not going to transfer because I want to stay and I want to win the title. It's what Mike Green, he had all these offers last year and he said, I want to stay. I want to win a title. So I just want everyone to think this is not just because Coach Huff left. It's happening all over the country, right? At schools where their coach didn't leave. We are hyper focused on our own team. So when we see this, we go, wow, that's a lot. But when you see that other schools have 5 to 10 more than us already and their coach didn't leave, and some of their coaches are going to be leaving here in the next couple of days to fill open positions, some of these schools are going to rocket up in the number that they have. It's well over 1,800 portal entries already across the nation. This is going to happen every single year. So please do not think that this is solely a Marshall thing, and don't buy into the ridiculous headlines by some websites that have zero journalistic integrity, and a lot of them just have bots scouring Twitter to put an article together. So don't read into all that crap, and just know that, as I always say, we can't bring people in until they're in the portal. So we have to wait on everybody to come in to see who we're going to offer. And we also can't just bring people in if these people don't leave. All right. Not that I want these people to leave. I'm saying once they leave, we're going to have open roster spots and then we can bring people in. And we just did that. What we do, Jed, we won a Sun Belt Conference championship by bringing in a lot of people. So don't panic. Give it some time. Plenty of time left. We're 3 days into the portal being open. We're not going to see players coming in for another couple of weeks. We might see 1 or 2, but just give it some time. Give it some time.
Yeah. And that's the nature. And I think it's still working itself out, you know, with these transfer rules. They're still fairly new. NIL is still fairly new. I think we're starting to settle into some things with it. You know, just as, you know, college football in general.
Sure.
There's arguments either way, but you're right. It's, you know, you've got guys that are motivated to get playing time, you know, so how are we able to grab, you know, power 4 players, you know, if they're, you know, if those guys, you know, aren't going to come, you know, transition, you know, down, you know, because they want to try to get more playing time because they're third string for, you know, a bigger school. You know, and you've got guys, you know, who are getting, like we talked about, getting offered to go up. You know, this may be their only chance to make some money.
Absolutely.
You know, these guys might not have the opportunity to play at the professional level. You know, some players want to move closer to home. There's a lot of different motivations, and I think there's a lot of, you know, just in my personal opinion, there's a lot of ugliness for sure about it. You know, I think there's a lot of, you know, we miss the days of a kid committing to a school for 4 years and putting in his time, but what it has allowed is it has allowed for a school like Marshall to go from a 6-7 season to a 10-3 season with the Sun Belt Championship. So
absolutely,
these quick turnarounds can happen because of the portal. So there's good and bad, and you know, it's the new nature of college football, and it's up to the coaches and staff to be able to work through, and the administration to be able to work through these things so that we can continue to have a successful football program.
Yeah, and you mentioned moving up and mentioned NIL and making money, but there's some that want to move up just because of the competitive nature. They want to compete against the best and prove that, hey, I'm the best too. You know, I did it here. By nature right now, it's the haves and have-nots, and whether anyone listening or watching likes to admit it, Marshall is in the have-nots category.
Yeah,
they don't have a television package paying them millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's closer to around 2. And, you know, if you were in the Big Ten or the SEC and you're bringing in 20 million plus, well, that would certainly improve our athletic budget. We'll just go there. But, Jed, real quick before I finish this segment, where can someone find out the most accurate and comprehensive list of all the transfer portal goings on for Marshall.
Oh man. Oh, if there was only a website where you could go to, it might be, correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, but I believe it's ThunderCast.Online that if they go to
ThunderCast.Online. It'll be your second article that you see there. We've also got an article up about the recruiting class that we brought in. And as we put more articles in there, that'll go down the page. So I'll probably try to pin that up at the top so it'll be available. But if you go to 24/7 or On3 or any of these other transfer portal pages, they're only going to be going with the people that they have let's say profiles built in for, that they had them in high school and gave them star ratings, and everybody has their own star ratings and all that horse crap, that they can't look at 85,000 players and give them a rating and be accurate about it. They're going to say, oh, they've got offers from this school, they must be a 4-star. So all that hokum, we don't worry about that here. We tell you every single player, whether they played a single snap or not, that has entered the transfer portal, and we verify it before we put it on there. As players come in, we are going to verify it before we put it on there. So go to ThunderCast.Online. I'll say, Jed, I haven't looked in a while, but when KD and I recorded yesterday, it was not yet, I think it was about 45 hours old, and it had 5,700 some views. 4,800 of those were unique viewers. So I know that it's well over 7,500, but I haven't looked today after that 7,500 to see just how high up it is. But needless to say, a lot of people are viewing it, and it's getting circulated.
Yep.
Well, Jed, that ends an epic, this time 11 things every Herd fan needs to know. As always, brought to you by Ignite Link. So, Mr. CEO of Ignite Link, Mr. CEO of Layer 1 Solutions, I would like to present something new to our fans. The segment's not new, but the name is. And now, Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd. Jed, I'm going to start out with track and field, including those 3 new program records we mentioned earlier. Marshall men's and women's track and field teams had 19 total first place finishes and many 2nd through 5 finishes at Friday's Marshall opener. What do you think about that?
You can't ask for a better way to open your season, right? To break records, tear it up on the field. I think that's the only reaction I have is, if this continues to trend, watch out, Sunbelt.
The very first opener. Now, there were only 4 teams, Marshall plus 3 visitors, and I don't care if they were running against local high schools. They're competing in not just these first place finishes that might have amped up their finishes a little bit by the number of teams and the competition, but you don't break 3 records. It doesn't matter who you're running against, because you're running against time or you're jumping against distance. So to have this kind of performance in the very first meet of the season, I think this is tremendous. And Coach Roberts said they're going to, regroup, get through exam week, and then they'll have Christmas break, and then they'll come back. I think it's January the 11th is their next meet. So they have basically a month off between this. But to get everybody ready for this, and all those first place finishes, second place finishes, and everything, they just absolutely dominated, which is what you really want to see. Swim and dive, the U.S. Open results are on Herd Zone. I don't want to go through all of them, the same as I don't want to go through every 19 first place finishes on track and field, but you can find all of those results for the 3-day event for the U.S. Open over there. Additionally to Madeline Hart's program record that we talked about in 5 things, we had some third place finishes for relay teams. 2 different relay teams finished third at the U.S. Open, and that is a big deal with how many different people are there. And we had several individuals reach the B finals, not the A finals, but the B finals. Again, find all that stuff over on Herd Zone, see who swam what, who dove what, and they will be at FIU next, and that is on Monday at 3 p.m.
Do you have there the number of teams that competed in that one?
I don't. I
Okay.
tried clicking around, and when I was putting all this together, I was looking at the individual pages for the different days of the event to find out who had done what and all that. And I'm sure there's a link. There's almost always a link, but I didn't see one. And then I got distracted and I started doing other things. And when I came back to it, I forgot. But you can also go to just Google that, which we don't have time to do right now. But anyone watching or listening, you can Google Collegiate Swim and Dive U.S. Open, and it will tell you all the competition. I know that when they were getting ready and doing day one stuff, I was actually on that page. It was showing all the different stuff because they were doing the heats on day one. So I know it's out there. I just did not have the time to look it up.
Okay. But I mean, I think we're correct to assume that there was probably quite a few schools that were participating.
Oh yeah, because you also don't have to have a school. You could just be from an individual state. I think there was somebody from West Virginia when I was looking at the heats and everything that they were just it said something independent West Virginia, and it was just about the state. So it was just a team that they were on, and they weren't sponsored by a school or didn't attend a school. So yeah, quite a number of participants in this. So Ian Walsh has got them doing great, man. Keith Roberts in track and Ian Walsh in the pool, man. They're doing really well. All right, moving on over to women's basketball. They ended up losing 82-63 to Florida on Sunday, but it was tied after the first quarter, and that second quarter is where Florida really just started pulling away. If you remember last year, they had that huge upset, and that kind of set them on their way for the epic year that they ended up having. But they did lose 19 points, but losing at Florida to an SEC school by 19 and being tied with them after first in Julie Folks' first year as coach, I think that was pretty impressive showing in that game.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't able to watch all of it, but I was able to watch that first quarter into the second quarter a little bit. And you've got a team that's returned some really good players. You've got a new coach. You've got a little bit of a new style. Even last year, it took a little bit of time to find the footing.
Did. Yeah.
And then when that team found their footing, that's when they took off to the moon. So I think you're still in that phase of the season where you're still trying to figure some things out and rotations and lineups and things like that. So, you go down to Florida and only lose by 19. That's you put up 63 points. That's not a bad showing.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, new pieces everywhere, and if they can peak right before conference play starts, I think that they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do well. Julie Folks is a winner, and she's going to have them be a winner, I feel like, perennially. And this first year, it can't be compared to last year because I don't think that that's going to happen. That's lightning in a bottle. If something like that happens, it's so rare that somebody comes in their first year and just wins like that. But as you mentioned, they didn't start off well last year. They were 2-4 last year before that Florida game. So a lot of good positives to see out of them and to think that they'll do well later on in the year. Men's basketball, they lost 78-69 to a very good UNC Wilmington team. UNC Wilmington has been tearing up just about everybody in the Sun Belt. They played, I think this was maybe their fifth Sun Belt opponent, and I think they're 5-0 against them. And a lot of them they're beating by more than double figures. So I feel like this was a really good showing again at UNC Wilmington, but did get the loss 78-69. They are playing right now as we record. They're at Wright State, and that started at 7 p.m., and we're 45 minutes into it. I do not have that score. If you do, I'll go ahead and give everybody an update. But by the time they listen to this, the game will be over. But where are we at right now?
We're at Wright State 30, Marshall 19, and 3 minutes left in the first half.
All right. They will also host Ohio Saturday at 4 p.m. and then West Virginia Wesleyan on Monday at 7 p.m. So a couple of games upcoming. I don't think that I mentioned women's basketball, their games upcoming. So let me go back to that. Women will be hosting Jacksonville on Friday at 11 a.m. And this is that game. I was able to go to it last year where the local elementary schools bring all their, they bring all the students in and everything, and what an atmosphere that was. So if you find yourself Friday at 11 being able to go over, that'd be a really good game to watch because the kids really get into it, and the halftime show is exceptional. And then Cincinnati is where they're heading after that. They are going up there Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. The men, I told you where they are going next. Last on the list, we got men's soccer, and Jed, you're going to be going, but they beat number 12 SMU on Sunday. That was 3-2, and they punched their ticket to the College Cup yet again. They face number 1 Ohio State Friday night in Cary, North Carolina at 7:36 p.m. You're going. How excited are you?
Oh, I'm pumped, and so I'm taking my oldest. She plays soccer, so she's been playing soccer for several years now. So we didn't get to go to all the home games this year, but we went to most of them. So we've gotten to, obviously, and we'd watch them on TV when they were away, when they were on. So to watch this team progress, it's pretty cool to watch. It's pretty cool to see, having followed where that team started at and where the players have shifted in the style. Just watching Coach Grassi just take that team and work the players and put them in the right positions and with the right schemes and everything to peak at the right time. I'm not. I think I like our matchup with Ohio State. It's a team that we've played for the last several years in the spring league, a team that we've beaten in the spring league. So we're familiar with the style. We're familiar with how they play. I think having the 1 seed's a curse anyway. So I like our chances. I think this team is peaking at the exact right time after I was a little worried watching SMU play Dayton. And they looked really, really good, and we handled them. And so
we were doing them really, really good. They had to score a late goal really to get it up to 3-2. We were up 3-1, I think it was, and maybe
4 or 5 minutes left.
Yeah. They got one, and then they were frantically trying. They just couldn't do it. But that was a really good SMU team that we beat. This is going to be you don't get number 1 by accident, but we've taken down number 1 before, and we did it on our way to the national championship in 2020 that we played in the spring of 2021. But I just have this feeling the way that they're playing, and like you said, they're peaking and trending at the exact right time that you want to do that. And we have been impressive in this postseason so far. And even just making it to the final 4 teams is huge. But I just have this feeling we're going to be playing on Monday as well.
There's, I don't know if you want to call it a swagger about this team.
There is.
And I want to say that kind of that's been not a new development, but that's been a development over the course of the season that they've developed. And they're going. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to put my finger on it, but the last few games that I've watched, especially during this NCAA tournament, they're just playing with such precision and with
Yeah.
such focus and intensity, and they want it. They want to win, and they have the desire to win, and I think they've got a good shot. They've got a really good shot, especially against a very good Ohio State. Don't get me wrong, very very good Ohio State, but a very beatable Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jed, I'm not going. I'm going to be watching. You'll be there. A lot of Herd fans are going to be there. It's going to be one of those. If you can go, you should go, because I think everybody's going to have a really good memory of this weekend. Again, Friday, 7:36 p.m. Make sure you're watching at home if you're not there in person, and then we'll keep you posted on social media about potentially what time to watch on Monday and everything, or to make your plans to drive back down to Cary. But that does it for Layer 1 Solutions, taking us around the herd. So do you have any final thoughts before we sign off? This is the first show of many that will probably have this format, with me and you handling these, and KD with his schedule. We'll be having him on, more for the just talking about the main overall things as you and I handle these things. But do you have anything about that, or anything at all, really?
No, the only thing I have to say is I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come on here and hang out with you and talk herd sports, and so that's it. I try to do KD as much justice as I can when he's not around, and I'll continue to hopefully not sully his work and effort and his name with my appearance on the show occasionally. So, but thanks for having me on, and love talking herd sports with you, Russ.
Well, it's no problem. We love having you on. We love having you involved with the ThunderCast. You're as big a part of the ThunderCast now as me or KD. You've always made everything go. Anytime we're doing stuff remote and live, you're right there. You've been on the camera seamlessly, sometimes doing both. Doing the producing and then just hop right on the camera and then go right back to producing. So, man, as I always say, if you can do that when you say that's not what I do, imagine if somebody could use you and your services at Ignite Link or Layer 1 Solutions when that is what you do. So anyone watching or listening, make sure you give Jed a call and see how he can help you and your business. But with that, I'm going to say, whether you see him at the Jack, whether you see him at the Joan, or whether you see him at Cary, North Carolina, cheering on the herd, he's always going to be saying, "Go herd."
Go herd.
It's the ThunderCast, and we will see you later.
Later.